Hey colleagues, as a team of researchers based at Astana IT University, we are thrilled to share the results of our small-scale study conducted by my colleagues
Aigerim Urazbekova,
Zhibek, Tleshova,
and I, Serikbolsyn, Tastanbek. As can be seen in the agenda, particularly you will be able to learn about our research in the following order. First, we will talk about the theoretical background of our study, and then we will share the research questions. After that, you will also take a look at the methodology of our study. Then, we will talk about the findings and the discussion of our study, then come the conclusions and references. Let's start by taking a look at the background and research questions of our study. Reviewing the literature, one can say that transition to delivering lessons in the online format due to the pandemic has challenged both students and educators. It can be noted that some students do not have the comfort necessary for studying online. Considering that, English language instructors face various hurdles related to making sure that any assessment supports student learning. The major problems faced by Astana IT University AITU English language instructors can be categorized as general issues and assessment challenges. The general issues were related to technological affordances and the internet, student engagement and participation, digital literacy, and professional development. Meanwhile, assessment challenges are around feedback effectiveness, instructions, assessment criteria, and assessment tools. Considering that, we posed two research questions. The first one is, what are the experiences of Astana IT University English instructors in terms of assessment when teaching online? And the second one is, what are the recommendations of Astana IT University English instructors for improving assessment when teaching online?
To answer the research questions, data was collected using both qualitative and quantitative approaches, making this mixed methods research. The site of research is Astana IT University, a higher education institution in Nur-Sultan, Kazakhstan, that was opened in September 2019. This site was chosen for research for the purpose of improving the teaching practice of the English language program instructors, specifically addressing the assessment issues inherent to distance learning in the times of COVID-19. In order to gauge the online assessment experience of all the instructors of the program, a survey was used to collect quantitative data. It was conducted via the platform Microsoft Forms, which is used institutionally to investigate the experiences of Astana IT University English instructors that teach first-year undergraduate upper intermediate level students. The survey consists of 8 multiple choice and 2 open-ended questions. Open-ended questions are question 9 and question 2 in the slide. 14 out of 15 English language instructors gave their answers regarding assessment and their recommendation for the improvement of assessment. Qualitatively, assessment issues and recommendations for improving assessment were illuminated by the means of autobiographical narrative inquiry analysis. Through this method, 2 English instructors and the English language program coordinator that have taught online at Astana IT University for over 2 trimesters during the pandemic shared their stories. The collected data was thoroughly analyzed in 2 parts. The survey responses were analyzed using the insights provided by Microsoft Forms. For the qualitative data collected through autobiographical narrative inquiry, the platform called Target was used to code using the survey questions as tags.
Okay, let's move on to the findings. So the first question of the questionnaire was addressed to the evaluation of technological readiness of the teaching staff at Astana IT University during the online teaching process. More than half of the respondents were satisfied with the learning platforms and equipment, while around 1/5 of the respondents kept a neutral stance. Serikbolsyn, Aigerim, and I collectively mentioned that learning management systems such as Moodle, Microsoft Teams, and equipment Microsoft Forms, Kahoot, Flipgrid, Quizlet, Live, and Padlet are the platforms that benefited the learning process. As for the equipment, Aigerim suggests that equipment was a source of issues, saying that equipment that teachers and students use has negative influences on student class engagement, particularly during synchronous sessions. In contrast, technical support provided by the university was rated the lowest, as 42.9% of respondents had a neutral opinion and 21.4% of them were very unsatisfied. In this regard, Serikbolsyn noted that due to the use of multiple platforms for learning, students had many questions that they messaged 24 hours, 7 days, which turned the language instructors into technical support staff. The respondents and the interviewee opinions were split proportionally regarding the internet speed and connection and the digital literacy. The share of respondents who were neutral and satisfied with the three aspects of technological readiness were the same at 42.9% and 35.7% respectively. As Aigerim emphasized, access to stable internet was a critical issue for students in remote areas. It was also noted that instructors had to become more digitally literate in areas such as data privacy and security. However, most of the English language program faculty already had adequate experience of incorporating technology in organizing and monitoring student learning process before the start of online teaching, as I noted in my autobiographical interview. The second question was focused on distance learning created by technology, how it affected learners' engagement in the course activities. Instructors do not think that technology decreased the engagement level of learners. Comparatively, low engagement level of students during synchronous lessons can be attached to the fact that student study loads increased. The collective decision not to require students to turn on the camera may have exacerbated the situation. The instructors complained about the hardships of connecting with the students. Specifically, Serikbolsyn notes in his interview, it was impossible to see or hear some of the students despite his attempts to call them by their names. While Aigerim commented, sometimes she felt desolated, as if she was talking to the wall of students' names on Microsoft Teams. I share my opinion that there is a need to work on increasing student engagement. At the same time, Aigerim reported that her professional development resulted in more effective teaching approaches that improved her confidence and student engagement. And now, as she says, the class responds to questions and they seem more engrossed in discussions. The third question was about to find out professional development opportunities provided during the pandemic needed to teach and assess online. The English language program faculty did not think there were less or more professional development opportunities during the pandemic than before. 9 out of 14 survey respondents rated the professional development opportunities provided since March 2020 as average. The instructors gave a low rating than high, which could signify the opportunities could be of greater quality. As a coordinator, I noted that the university provided enough opportunities by organizing a range of seminars online on Moodle and Microsoft Teams and providing free access to Coursera courses. Meanwhile, collegial support was more significant as it mitigated the transition to distance learning. Serikbolsyn notes in his interview that he was able to complete several professional development courses, seminars and webinars, listen to a range of talks by scholars and educators, and join online teaching communities on Facebook, Reddit and Instagram. From here, drew inspiration and wisdom. Question 4 was addressed if instructors could provide effective feedback. The satisfaction level with instructor feedback given by students was quite high. There were 9 respondents that deemed the effectiveness of their feedback as appropriate. Only 5 participants of the questionnaire were not sure if they provided feedback that was adequate. I in my experience, can note that I usually teach fewer groups due to my administrative responsibilities. Experience with online student feedback, I could note that was neither positive or negative. In comparison to my opinion, both Aigerim and Serikbolsyn are of the opinion that giving feedback was substantially more time-consuming and labor-intensive, as they had around 70 to 80 students each trimester, meaning 400 and 500 submissions needed to be graded. It is a lot even in regular circumstances, comments Serikbolsyn. Despite that, with the help of built-in rubrics and comments on Flipgrid, Moodle, and Turnitin, as well as feedback templates, it was possible to optimize giving feedback. The instructors managed to provide sufficient feedback by sending comments on assignments submitted through Moodle and Microsoft Forms in oral and written forms. It was noted in their responses. The fifth question was addressed to the assessment matter instructions, that if the language instructors have given comprehensive feedback comprehensively. The questionnaire conducted among Astana IT University English Department instructors demonstrates most of the instructors, 71% of them, consider their assessment instructions to be comprehensive. 21% of respondents claim they cannot assure they give clear assessment guidance, and one educator believes their instructions are not inclusive. Similarly, according to the autobiographical narratives, Aigerim states giving assessment instructions experience was the issue of her. The sixth question was addressed to providing assignment templates. Regarding handing out exemplary assignments, the minority is not sure on what and have never provided assignment templates, samples, and examples whenever possible. This aligns with what Aigerim reports, who said students struggled to write assignments from scratch. Additionally, Serikbolsyn added that providing templates has fostered optimizing feedback. Seventh question was devoted to understand the rate of the experience of using assessment rubric online. The experience of using assessment rubrics within the distance learning is another challenge. As reported by 57% of our respondents, their practices are above average. Serikbolsyn and Aigerim highlight the effectiveness and the accommodations that application of assessment rubrics online had. Nonetheless, Zhibek focused the attention on how complicated it was to develop comprehensive rubrics. The eighth question was, to what extent were the following assessment tools effective? The questionnaire demonstrates peer evaluation with feedback to be very effective according to 21% of respondents, which is exceeded twice by the number of those who find assignments sufficient. However, Aigerim has concerns with the validity of quizzes. In the same vein, Serikbolsyn offers to improve peer evaluation and the feedback quality, whereas all for assessment tools are equally moderately adequate, as observed both from the questionnaire results and the narratives. Aigerim highlights the importance peer evaluation with feedback has within the discipline.
When asked to provide additional ideas and opinions about instructors' assessment experiences within online education, it has been suggested to devise a bank of comments when providing feedback. Some also considered the workload and its negative influence on the effectiveness of feedback. Others find assessing online psychologically easier. As reported by me, Serikbolsyn well-being was negatively impacted due to the technological issues, the overwhelming teaching load, and spending time in front of the computers during the day. In addition, extra obligations were introduced by the university, so now teachers have more responsibilities. In contrast, Aigerim claims that distance learning has fostered the confidence and facilitated developing digital literacy skills and shaping teaching approaches. Zhibek suggests capacity to work offsite and manage internet space for the purpose of the work was built. On top of that, instructors have become more caring towards each other and have built up their own offsite teaching rules and rules for teacher-student communication. However, professional development seminars or webinars is that some need. Last but not least, when the question was posed to learn about the recommendations to improve assessment when teaching online, some shared that some comments in terms of instructions, samples, and rubrics. Based on the responses, assignments should have well-aligned aims, reasons, assessment criteria, and instructions that are clearly sketched out so that both instructors and students are able to teach and learn effectively. One survey participant suggests to discuss rubrics together and test them with 2 to 3 student papers before the course starts, or to discuss previous year rubrics and improve them based on teachers' experience and feedback on assessing previous year's papers. It was also recommended to include samples so that students have a better understanding of what they are expected to produce. In order to improve assessment approaches, several instructors believe that there should be more professional development, collegial collaboration, discussion, and reflection on teaching practices. Specifically, better assessment approaches in terms of giving feedback, syllabus design, and rubric creation and use need to be covered during professional development meetings more systematically. Action research was another noted potential way of enhancing assessment practices. Another area to improve was academic integrity. According to Zhibek, there is a need to step back from those types of assessment that may allow cheating and develop assessments that allow students to feel engaged, motivated, and confident. Some others believe that a more robust proctoring software should be used to conduct quizzes instead of Microsoft Forms. A crucial aspect of assessment that requires mentioning is how much grading instructors need to do. Among the recommendations, it was mentioned that it is necessary to consider ways to reduce assessment workload for teachers.
Moving now to the discussion section. The analysis of responses shows three main aspects the English instructors try to follow in online assessment. They are clarity of assessment instructions, feedback quality, and assessment rubric. This slide demonstrates 8 points inferred based on the reflections on the English language program faculty. With respect to lack of equipment, sadness of switching to the online study, providing quality feedback, and clarity of assessment instructions, as well as some instructors not to have enough opportunities to provide samples, there was general agreement among respondents. However, with technology cost issues of student engagement, higher quality professional development, clarity of assessment instructions, and written assignments, quizzes, and TP evaluation with feedback to be widely used, there was a difference in outlook that has great importance for the topic of the study. In one sense, organizational aspects of online teaching and assessment seem to have common to share, although aspects as developing professional competence and assessment instrumentals were the sources of a disagreement. The aspects on technology cost issues, of student engagement, higher quality professional development, clarity of assessment instructions, and written assignments, quizzes, and peer evaluation with feedback to be widely used need to understand in the future studies, which may be designed as a research project of the authors. Diverse outlooks of instructors to these aspects seem to be concerned with understanding of student learning engagement and student behavior in online teaching and learning process. The problem of online teaching is multifarious. The issue of student engagement is one of them. Teachers are hardly able to verify student presence in online classroom or student engagement in work projects. On the other hand, instructors themselves were highly conscious of the limits of their efforts to reach out to the students. For many students and instructors, just the experience of online teaching was an adventure with many surprises, not all of which were satisfactory. It can be predicted that the novelty issue will disappear once both instructors and students adjust to the limits of machine technologies. Finally, all the instructors agree that distance learning has potential provided that stronger reinforcement of student learning could be established.
So, in conclusion, we can say that from the analysis of faculty members' responses, three main problem areas stand out in online assessment. First, the clarity of assignment instructions. Second, the volume and the quality of the feedback. And third, the implementation of assessment in relation to the assessment rubric. Respondents strongly emphasize the need for clear instructions for class and home tasks, along with good samples and instructions. So, in developing assignments and the assessment rubrics, the limits of provided technology and time constraints should be noted in the course of work of instructors, with more meticulous development of rubrics which might require more team effort and testing with small groups. Instructors and students can achieve greater learning outcomes. Despite some limitations in our study, the gathered data show that instructors had various experience with online teaching that pushed them to adapt and to develop professionally. The study participants understand the limits that present technology and time constraints have on teaching. The study eliminated the issues related to assessment while delivering classes online. The approaches to developing and using assessment tools may be improved. It is implied that the university administration should pay more attention to assessment practices by allowing more time for giving feedback, decreasing the teaching load, and providing more practical and generally more effective professional development opportunities.
On that note, we would like to thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, please email us at the indicated email addresses below.